The way that I think it's important for artists to stay in demand is by being multi-dimensional. I'm Phoenix Novell, and I'm a singer, songwriter, rapper, producer, entrepreneur.
No question, no lies, I'm a boss bitch. And God, I'm a grind to my heart quits. Is she hungry for the money? Is she all in? Is she no slave? And she gonna win? Big bands to the side, ain't no losses. Stack bands, no ties, except for my kid. Only thing that's on her mind is to be rich. And she knows.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Phoenix Novell. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Musicians on Gigs. I just got off stage, so my energy is probably not as bubbly as it usually is because I am like ready to pull this wig off and get in the bath. But I wanted to make this video because it's something that I think is really important for a lot of artists to understand. This episode is entitled How to Be an Artist in Demand. One of the biggest things I learned early on was how to make myself stand out from the rest, not to be in competition with them. Because if you are on another level, in another playing field, then there is no competition. The problem for me with competing with other artists or having that mindset to have one up on them, there's always going to be somebody who can do something a little better than you can do it when it comes to that back and forth. You know, when it comes to just being a great singer or just being a great DJ or just being a great rapper. The way that I think it's important for artists to stay in demand is by being multi-dimensional. Because when you're multi-dimensional, you're in a league of your own. Because everybody can spend all their time and focus and energy on honing a craft really, really well. And that is a good thing. Right? I'm not saying that it's not a good thing to be great at what you do. It's just that there are a lot of people who are great at what they do. And what I learned about being great at what you do is that sometimes the people who are the greatest at something don't always stay employed. Being great does not mean that you are indispensable. It doesn't mean that you stay getting booked. Because what I learned a long time ago as well is that it's not always the best who is in high demand. Sometimes it's the most likable. Sometimes it's the most relatable. Sometimes it's the one who knows how to socialize the most. Sometimes it's the one who's the prettiest, or the handsomest. Sometimes it's the one who can speak the language and who socializes more, or who makes people gravitate towards them. I learned a long time ago that you could be excellent and exceptional and unquestionably talented, but just rub people the wrong way or not make them feel anything. And for that reason, they will find somebody else to get to fill the spot with. But when you are multidimensional, when you wear many hats, well, not even perfectly, because so many people are so afraid of stepping out of their comfort zone that they'll just focus on being exceptional in this one thing and not think about when that position doesn't need to be filled. Sometimes you don't get the gig because this person's girlfriend can also do what you do well, and it's that person's girlfriend, or the boss's friend wants the job, or you just don't know the right people. Sometimes it is about who you know. But when you are multidimensional, when you play multiple instruments, when you have a ability to socialize really well and to network, when you're also able to graphic design or market the band, when you're able to mix, the sound, when you're able to play the keys, when you're able to rap and sing and dance, when you're able to choreograph, when you're able to run the lights, when you're able to do many things, there are just a few people who fit that category and even less who are available because they're in such high demand. And then on top of that, you're attractive or your repertoire list is exceptionally long. The more notches you have under your belt, the more you can write your own check, the harder it is to replace you because you save them a lot of money because you're wearing all these hats. And if you're not gouging them or overpricing them or overcharging them or charging what you are worth, then they realize whether or not they like you or you're their first pick, that you are good for business. And I learned that because I saw the gaps and the holes, and that a lot of places would go without this and this and this position because they couldn't find the best person to do it, or this person was only available at this time or this time. And so they just had to go without. And I'm like, well, maybe I could do this. And sometimes I would do it and not get paid. Sometimes I would help them find higher bands and not get paid for it. But I learned that skill set. And I became attractive to them because I wasn't just saying, well, shit, I'm just a singer. So don't ask me for nothing. Sometimes when you're willing to help or when you're willing to go that extra mile, people are attracted to that. Sometimes people will take advantage of it, but your job is to realize how it can be advantageous for you and them that you are multidimensional. Don't be afraid. I was told early on, some people's opinion, like, you're doing too much. Just do one thing at a time. And for a while, I thought to myself, oh yeah, maybe I am. Because I was doing so much that I was not executing things properly. I wasn't following through. So my issue wasn't that I was doing too much. It was that I wasn't following through. So I learned how to follow through. So my thing is learn well how to do a few things. A few things are vital for the best possible presentation of your skill. If you're a singer, learn how to level your tracks if you're using tracks, right? If you're with a live band, learn how to run the sound or get the right people in the position to run the sound who will teach you how to run the sound. Because sometimes the sound guy where you at ain't it. And if you know the basics of how to make sure you always sound good, then you're attractive to the venue owners because they don't have to worry about whether or not there is a great sound guy available, sound person available, right? Learn how to, if you are not with a live full band, learn how to make sure all your tracks are the same level. Make sure your sound is consistent so that you don't have to worry about the quality of your tracks while you're performing and getting into the show and connecting with the audience. Minimize your worry by increasing your ability to have a seamless stream of entertainment, have a flawless performance. The more you can control those factors that affect the quality of the show, the more attractive you will be because everybody doesn't know why it's flowing. They just know it is flowing. And you as a performer know when it ain't flowing and you know why it ain't flowing. And then you're thinking about all that shit when you should be focusing on the performance. So the more multidimensional you are, the more attractive you are, the more people are willing to pay you to do all of these other jobs that they don't have to worry about or manage multiple people. in, because they want to make money. Everybody wants to make money. Everybody wants to be in the positive. They want to make a profit off of you. And if you are making their life, I remember when I was working as a booking agent for a venue in Thailand. And I remember when I pitched my idea to not only manage the band, but completely organize them and be totally responsible for them. I wanted to do that because I wanted to ensure that they had a certain level of quality, but I also wanted to make sure that there was a nice buffer between me and the client and my artists. I didn't want to not be in control of their experience, because I knew as an artist the kind of experience I would want to have. And I remember telling them, I want to find their housing and I want to manage this, and you pay me and I'll pay them. And I remember the client was like, oh, well, good. He was so relieved. He couldn't have been happier that he didn't have to deal with multiple people to manage these artists. He didn't have to deal with them. He could just go through me and deal with me, and I would manage them. And a lot of people prefer that. They prefer you have a camp that handles all this and they can just deal with you and be done with it. The bigger they are, the more they're like that. And if they trust you with the quality and know that you're going to deliver, then they are more willing to give you what you're asking for. That's just an example, of me with a management style saying that I could deal with all of these things involving these artists. Just give me this. And I had to negotiate and explain why I wanted this, but they didn't hesitate to allow me to take on all that responsibility. Not many artists would do that. Not many people will do that. Now, you have to know how to make sure it works in your favor so that you're not exhausted at the end of it. But a lot of artists are struggling to be seen, struggling for the same jobs. They're competing for the same opportunities, and they're fighting, and they're accepting pay that they don't want to accept because there is another singer who can do it for less money, who is younger, fresher, and more eager for the opportunity. So the more that you're coming to the table with, the less room you have for them to complain about how much you're asking for to do it. All right? So that's my piece of advice for artists who are trying to figure out how to make themselves more attractive in a field that's very competitive. There's a lot of talented artists out there who want the experience to perform, who want the same stage, who want the same opportunities, but not a lot of them are multidimensional. So my advice to you artists is to be as multifaceted as you can in order to write your own check. It's your girl, Phoenix Novell. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Musicians on Gigs. And if you guys have any topic ideas, any questions, or just want to shout a sister out, email me at musiciansongigs@gmail.com. And until the next video, stay blessed, guys. Continue to create, continue to live your life on purpose. And stay tuned. Peace.